really, when we think about Refuge from an education standpoint or the photography side as well, it has been rooted in client experience. The entire piece of the puzzle has been creating an experience through photography that leaves women feeling loved, valued, and seen. And then on the education side, creating an experience that ultimately is going to better their life and better their business.
Hey there, you're listening to the Priority Pursuit Podcast, a podcast dedicated to helping small business owners define, maintain, and pursue both their personal and business priorities so that we can build lives and businesses that we love. Anna and Ryan are a husband and wife photographer team and the founders of Refuge Co, a 13-member multi-state wedding photography company who believes in creating an unforgettable client experience that feels like a refuge for the brides they are blessed to love and serve. Guys, you might recognize their names. Ryan and Anna have been on the show before, but a lot has changed since we last had the pleasure of speaking with them, including a bold move to Rosemary Beach, Florida, and the birth of their sweet baby girl. So yes, congratulations to them on so many things. But after celebrating more than 200 weddings in just 5 short years of business, Anna and Ryan started coaching other entrepreneurs. While there are countless business-related topics Ryan and Anna could cover, today I am really excited to have them on the show to share how they've built their associate team of photographers. Now, guys, if you aren't a photographer, please don't stop listening. Ryan and Anna have some photography-specific examples to share with us today, but all of their tips and tricks can be used to build a small business team of any kind and systems to make having a team actually work out well rather than just adding to the masses. So Ryan, Anna, thank you guys so much for coming back on the show. It's so great to see you.
Oh, well, yeah, Victoria, thank you so much for having us. We're so excited to be here, and so much has changed since the last time that we were here. But I'll tell you one thing that is still the same is, our business is named Refuge, and we're hoping to provide that again today for your listeners. So we're super excited to be here and honored to be here with you.
Oh, I have no doubt that you guys will. Okay, so you guys have so many things going on. I feel like my introduction really just didn't do you justice. So if you don't mind, introduce yourselves, tell us all the things. And guys, we will include the link to Ryan and Anna's last episode with us in the show notes. So be sure to check that out too.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I think first things first, guys, again, we're just so excited if you're listening or watching, so excited to be here with you today. We're Anna and Ryan, husband and wife, and just normal people like anyone who's listening to this. We're actually new parents. We have
very new parents.
a little baby girl that was born in September of last year, and getting to do life with her, honestly, it's just been such a fun thing for me as a dad. I didn't know how much I was going to enjoy it. And it's been awesome just watching Anna step into like mom role and just crush that.
Business and a baby. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Victoria, I think you did a great job on introducing us. I would say the only thing just to plug here, if you didn't listen to our last episode or you don't follow along with us, one thing you may not know from the introduction, because I was like, wow, that's us. That's super cool to hear, is that this is not what we've always been. And so we actually started out as public school teachers and coaches. But it's really cool to see how God has paved the path, and how our life then, which looks drastically different than our life now, are kind of married together, because now we are educating and coaching other photographers, entrepreneurs, business owners, on how to create this life of freedom that we found for ourselves.
Guys, I'm so excited for this conversation. Now, typically if we have, repeat guests, we don't necessarily revisit the priority questions, just in that they've already answered that. But guys, we are going to revisit yours today, because since you've been on the show last, you've had a baby, your business has changed. I think it's probably safe to say that your answers are going to be a little bit different. So we're going to talk priorities for just a minute.
It's true what they say. A baby changes everything.
In the 100%. Best way.
Yeah. So I think that 100%. I think that what's awesome about what you bring, Victoria, talking about priorities is I think that like to a certain extent they have changed, but to a certain extent, I believe our priorities are rooted so deeply that they've just kind of not necessarily changed so much in like we've switched priorities, but within like how do we get to those priorities, we've had to get creative because just as Anna did say, a baby literally changes everything. And so I know for us, I think that number one, faith is a priority for us. And I think that something that we've started doing that we absolutely love is we really started taking a Sabbath day during the week, one day of rest, no work.
No talk of work, y'all. If you don't, I challenge you because this is such a challenge, but it's been such a beautiful thing for us, for our marriage, for our business. It's been a huge blessing, and it's something that we've adopted in the last year and a half. It was really perfect timing of when the Lord kind of laid this on our heart because he was setting us up to be ready that we didn't realize, we didn't plan this, to have a child, and how important this was going to be, for, like I said, for us, for our marriage, for our business, and now for our little family.
Yeah. And it's honestly, it's been really life-giving. It's been extremely life-giving. And I think that the pastor that spoke on this, that was like, if you think you have too much work, that you've got to work 7 days, then essentially what you're saying is that you can do more in 6 days, or excuse me, you can do more in 7 days than God can in 6.
And he promised that we could.
Yeah.
So it hit us hard.
So we started taking a Sabbath. We weren't doing that the last time, and we are now, and it's been awesome. And definitely like our family. Now, you know, that was a priority before. It looked way different. It was just Anna and myself and our marriage. We could eat ice cream on the couch at 3 a.m. after we did, worked all through the night. It doesn't look like that anymore. And so setting specific boundaries with like office hours. So we leave our office at 4 p.m. And on these days, we know that we're taking time to go to the beach. On these other days, we know that we're going to stay in our neighborhood. We're going to take a walk out our neighborhood. Yeah. and just be active with our family. And so that's definitely a piece that's kind of changed.
Yes. And with family, we believe our friends are like family. So 100%. that encompasses kind of like both of those categories.
Yeah. And I think that like our last priority for us is fitness and really like health. Mm-hmm. Because I believe that if you don't have health, you essentially have nothing. If you have health, you have wealth. Because if you have health, then you can actively pursue all of these other pieces in your life. And so making sure that we are moving our bodies, putting good fuel into our bodies that's going to allow us to continue loving and serving and building. So that I think that's what we got.
Oh, and yeah, I love that, your guys' priorities really are still the same. They just have changed, with mm-hmm. the way your life has changed and with the way business has changed. And but I think that's the beautiful thing about having priorities. No matter what life throws at you, you still know what is most important. All right, guys, we also have to talk about, your business priorities, because the last time we talked, you were arguably like shooting more than coaching. And now I think it's safe to say it's a bit of a reverse of that. I mean, you have a team who is shooting for you. So yes, how it all balances out, very different. But as a result, your priorities I highly doubt they've changed. I bet they've just shifted as well. But now, guys, what are your top 3 business priorities?
Yeah, I love that. I think that honestly, Victoria, something that I think that people will understand from listening to numerous episodes of your podcast and just being in tune with what you bring, the value that you bring, is that, again, our priorities for when we're still marching towards the same goal, it's exactly what you said. My priorities are my priorities. We're just shifting some pieces within those to help me get the same result, even though life may look a little bit different. I think that really when we think about Refuge from an education standpoint, or the photography side as well, it has been rooted in client experience. Mm-hmm. The entire piece of the puzzle has been creating an experience through photography that leaves women feeling loved, valued, and seen. And then on the education side, creating an experience that ultimately is going to better their life and better their business. So I think that for us, client communication, client experience, it is really such a priority for us.
Honestly, kind of stepping like into the educator seat, coaching seat. What we've realized is a lot of times when we get asked questions, we're like, well, how did you go from being public school teachers to quitting your jobs within 1 year? How did you go from not shooting a single wedding to now you have a company that shoots 75 a year? Like all these questions, everything, like Ryan said, it all goes back to the word experience. So a huge priority in our business is the client experience.
Yeah. And I think secondly, very simple to say, very hard to do, is being consistent within the systems that have been built. Being consistent. I think that what is done consistently good will always beat what is done occasionally great. And so we know what we do well. We stay consistent to that. And then we see the results that we want. So I think that for me, that would be number 2.
And the great thing about number 2 is, again, it still goes hand in hand with number 1, because the thing about number 2, the only way that we can keep that a priority is that we're not comparing ourselves to what everyone else is doing, because we know that we're consistent. Like our focus is not on the competition, it's on the client. So if we know that what we're doing is to show up to love and serve them as best as we can, then it helps us to stay consistent in our systems. And in return, you have a great client experience.
Yeah. And then I think that number 3, if we're 1, 2, and 3, absolutely team. For us, there is absolutely no way that Refuge could get to the point that it is today, much less grow to where we see it going in the future, without the amazing people that we have on our team. Perfect example of this, like when we start talking about priorities that move the needle forward in our business, our team is literally, I'm here talking to you right now. Mm-hmm. My team is loving and serving our brides and taking great care of them. Last year, Anna was pregnant, had our daughter. Our team photographed more weddings as a company than we've ever photographed in our history. Mm-hmm. We photographed less than we've ever photographed.
And we got to take a maternity leave, thankfully, to our team.
Yeah.
Because I kind of mentioned this in the beginning, but our pregnancy wasn't really planned, and it was right in the middle of busy season. So if you are a photographer listening, you probably are cringing, because while we were like, oh, God's plans are perfect and we are excited now that we've got this news, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? But the fact that we've had our team as a priority and we've continued to lean into them to make that a focus in what we're building and stuff, when it actually came time that the due date was there, systems were in place, the client experience and all that was still there. And it was all thanks to our team.
Oh, man. Well, I am so glad, God gave you systems and a team before you had a baby.
Yes.
Yeah. It's so funny.
He knows better than we do. He knows what's up.
Yeah. Victoria, you'll understand this from the photography side, but our daughter was born in September. At the end of September, literally, we didn't shoot a single thing June. I think it was like June through August. September really started our busy ramp up into the fall. And our September just didn't end up happening the way we thought it was going to, but it was great.
The way we thought it was going to in the beginning of the year. But once we got there was great plans in place.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't know if non-photographers truly understand the stress of family planning as a photographer. That's a conversation for another day. You know what? We could do a whole podcast episode on that, but we're not.
Yeah, I feel like you could get an accountant and talk to them about it would be like having a child in the spring during tax season, because it's that's for us, that is we work in seasons, and but yeah, no, that would be a fun episode.
Yes, especially when you both need to be in both places, at the wedding with your family. But well, guys, I am so excited to talk to you guys about team building today. So just for those who aren't familiar with the concept, let's kind of start with some definitions. What is an associate team? I mean, this is something that maybe some photographers aren't familiar with, but then also just other listeners who don't live in the photography world, they might be thinking what the heck are we talking about?
Sure. Yeah, I love that question. So I think that in general, it's going to be a very similar definition. And then I'll kind of go into like what it actually means to us. So an associate team is essentially in the photography realm. For us, we photograph weddings. We know that legitimately, we could probably photograph around 50 to 70 if it was just Anna and myself. That would be doing like 1 to 2 every weekend of the year. That's not sustainable.
We could, but we probably should not.
yeah, it's not going to work. And so our business had gotten to a point to where we were saying no just as much as we were saying yes. We had built this client experience. We had these women coming like, I can't believe it's my turn. I want to be a Refuge bride. And we were saying no. And that broke our heart because our business was built upon relationships. And so not only was I saying like, no, I can't photograph your wedding. What I felt was like I was saying like, no, I can't love you and serve you through this experience. And that broke our heart. So we were like, okay, what can we do to allow this woman to have the experience that she's wanting? And so that's when we were like, okay, we need a team of photographers. And so associate team, photographers that are, to make it very simple, photographers that are photographing under our brand. And so a photographer that comes in and will photograph a wedding a session for Refuge. And so I think that for our business, there's absolutely no way that we're where we are today without the amazing team of photographers that have said, hey, I want to love and serve. I see the mission that Refuge is providing. I want to be a part of that, and I want to photograph under you. And so that's our team.
I love that. And now you guys have answered this question already, I think, from a business standpoint, but now I'm curious from a life standpoint. And I mean, in all honesty, you did answer this when we talked about priorities too, but just so people can hear it again, how has having an associate team like changed your life?
I'll start this and then you can take it. And the hesitation there was like the depth of this answer is so deep because I think that there's markers in life that you're like that. It's easy to say that changed my life, but did it actually change like the trajectory of your future? Did it actually do something like that? And our team has. I think that there's many ways that I can answer this, but watching my wife have our daughter and not think about like, I've got to get back to work, but to know that she had a space and time to be with our daughter. That's life change from our team.
Yeah, and to provide a little clarity there, because I know we just kind of talked about the associate part of our team, which is other photographers photographing under our brand. And we are very thankful, especially during that time, that we had those other photographers, because our brides that we were supposed to photograph their wedding were 100% taken care of, so supportive, because we had these photographers that were already aligned, like and equipped and prepared to photograph in the same way that we would have, to love and serve them in the same way that we would have. But we also have team behind the scenes that keeps like our systems and workflows running. So I just wanted to also provide clarity around that when we say our team, we're not just referring to our associate photographers. We're also referring to the back end system of things, because again, if you're not in the photography world, this may not pertain to you too much, but I know any business out there, it should. There is a lot more that goes on in running a photography business than just actually being there to photograph the event. But another way our team has just drastically changed our life. Yes, like in this season, it was such a beautiful thing and honestly, this was never our vision. So when we started this whole team thought, it was never what we didn't intend to be sitting here saying, yeah, we have 13 people on a team. Like this was never, like we were not capable or smart enough to think of this ourselves. Like God is just, like I said earlier, has paved the path, and we just continue walking along it each day and being like getting more and more clarity about where we're headed. But like you said, the last time we were on the podcast, you're like, I believe y'all were shooting a lot and like not really educating. That is so true. And now our days and our life look completely different, and we are able to spend our time at home with our daughter and educate other photographers simply because our team is taking the bulk of our photography work. So it's not that like we've stopped photographing, it's just that we've been able to kind of pass along some of that part of our business to where we can step into another part that we feel like God has been calling us to for so long. We just never, I mean, guys, especially now that I'm a mom, there is not enough time in the day. So now we are spending the bulk of our time in the education realm, which we're so excited about and passionate about, while our brides are still getting that Refuge experience that they know and love simply because our team is there providing it for you. So to put a little example in there, like you said, last time we spoke, I think that we probably were shooting around 40-ish weddings. Again, kind of getting close to that number that we mentioned earlier where like we can do this, we probably shouldn't do this. But that was Ryan and I personally. We did not have a child, and life was business. Like that is just the point blank, like simple truth of it. Now, fast forward, we are shooting at, I think, around maybe a max of like 10 to 13.
We're going to accept 10 weddings this year.
But our company is shooting 75. So it is a huge, like, I mean, that's just a perfect example of like, well, how has a team changed things for you? Well, the numbers don't lie.
Oh, yes. Oh, good. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we were able to clarify all of those things. Now, guys, I think a lot of people are listening and they're thinking like, okay, that sounds great. I would love to have that kind of freedom, but like, where the heck do you start? So I'm going to throw a lot of questions at you guys at once. You can answer them whatever order you want, but like, what has hiring and training your team look like? How do you choose who to hire? How long does it take to train an associate? Just tell us all the things. Because I think a lot of times small business owners, they'll think like, okay, like I know I need to hire. I know like I need more help. But then it's done pretty haphazardly because they just don't know what they're doing. So basically, if somebody's like, okay, like this sounds great, I want to add to my team, tell us what you would recommend they do.
I'm going to let Ryan answer this, but before he answers, I just have to preface it with, you are so right, Victoria. That is actually why we started the Team Building Accelerator, because we've been doing a team for around 3.5 years now, and we did not know what we were doing when we started it. And honestly, again, full transparency, it was a full roller coaster of figuring it out. And so that was what kind of fueled our passion to be able to provide resources and the information, just like answering questions, just like you've asked us, for other photographers, entrepreneurs, business owners, because it was all the questions that we had starting out. So I did want to preface it with just saying like, you're so right. It's so true. Mm-hmm. I know kind of like probably what you're thinking, what you're feeling, because we felt and thought all of those things. Yeah. But now ours kind of looks like this. And how you asked earlier what an associate team like is, ours is a little bit different than probably your traditional what you would see and expect, but it all stems back to because we're so focused on, our priority is so important on that client experience term. So for us, it's super important, not that we find photographers, because we weren't photographers when we started this. So we know that we can teach skill. What we need to make sure is that we're finding the right people that are aligned with our mission, that we can ensure that they're going to give the experience that we're guaranteeing. So Ryan can talk a little bit more about like how we go about that.
Yeah. And I think that Anna set that up perfectly, because I think when you start thinking about your individual business and your brand, you know, what are like some of your brand key terms or keywords that you associate with your brand and your business? For us, we know so much of our business is rooted in loving, serving, celebrating. So when we start talking about like, hey, we want to find people that are going to shoot for us, or they're going to be involved in our business in an aspect, I think that that's really what Anna said. We're looking for those attributes in a heart, because I can teach skill. I cannot teach heart. I cannot teach that if you're on a wedding day and the stuff hits the fan, how do you react just initially? Who are you at your core? Because that will show in that moment. You either go left or you go right. And I want you to love and serve and celebrate.
What would you do with an extra 45 minutes every workday? That would save you 16 hours a month or roughly 8 days a year. And over the course of your career, we're talking about over 1 year of your life saved. All that time back. Well, many independent business owners spend far more than 45 minutes a day on administrative tasks. And with HoneyBook, you can get that time back and then some. HoneyBook lets you easily manage projects, contracts, invoices, scheduling, and client communication, saving you time and allowing you to better serve your clients. For a discount on your first year of HoneyBook, visit honeybook.com and subscribe with the code PriorityPursuit. 45 minutes a day adds up quickly. Use it to focus on what matters most.
Photographers, would you love to spend less time behind your computer and more time shooting with your loved ones or doing literally anything else than editing? If so, it's time to outsource your editing. Now, I know what you're going to say. I can't outsource my editing. An editor won't be able to match my style. But friend, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. I've been working with Photographers Edit for years, and their team of experienced editors match my editing style perfectly because 1, they took the time to get familiar with my preferences and brand. 2, they look at the sample edits I include in each Lightroom catalog. And 3, they allow me to submit feedback after every project, so the next time we work together, things are even better. Outsourcing my editing to Photographers Edit has drastically streamlined my workflow. I mean, after I shoot a wedding or a session, I simply cull the images and mark the photos I want to blog using Aftershoot. Then I create a Lightroom catalog, only edit the photos I plan to blog and share on social media. I add a green label to the photos I edit, share the catalog with Photographers Edit, and they use the photos I mark in green as samples to finish editing the remaining images. From there, Photographers Edit sends the catalog back to me within a few days. I review the images, export them, and share my clients' galleries with them. Outsourcing my editing has given me the freedom to spend more time with Zach and Hattie, go to bed at a reasonable time, better serve my clients, and work on projects I'm excited about, like this podcast. Right now, editing is likely taking up most of your time, but I can tell you from experience, it doesn't have to. To receive 50% off your first order from Photographers Edit, go to treefrogmarketing.com/PE or simply use code VRayburn at checkout. Again, that's treefrogmarketing.com/PE or use code VRayburn at checkout.
What Anna said about hiring for the heart instead of the skill, because the skill can be, we can talk about that. That's very easy. And so I love that. And I think that honestly, you did such a great job in what you were talking about, Victoria, talking about that so many people kind of come in, they halfway do this. They're like, yeah, I want you to go and shoot weddings for me. I have an associate team, but they don't have any systems in place. They don't have like an experience for their entire workflow that guides them through so that they can easily say, this is how I do it. Now here it is. And we've seen that struggle. And so I think that my biggest word of encouragement to anyone out there, if you're thinking about like, hey, I think I want a team, that it sounds like it could be such a good fit for me. That's amazing. There's going to be work that comes along with that. And you've got to make sure that you have your business with just you in it. I know it's only you right now. It was just us. Mm-hmm. You've got to get those things systematized that you're doing, that you're doing, but you may not have written out. Like you need to have this, or literally your entire process written out so that someone can sit in that chair and do it, whether that be photographing. This is the way that Refuge photographs a wedding, or whether it be working on the back end for you. You need to have that down. There's a reason that if you go to any Starbucks, a vanilla latte tastes the same. It may not be the best vanilla latte, but it's consistent because they have that system written out to literally where every barista is trained. This is the Starbucks vanilla latte.
Yeah. So with our hiring and training, so like going back to the point of that, we don't hire for skill. We hire for heart. So with that, we've almost all of our team members were not photographers when we hired them. And so that is something that we're like taking on. But I am having mom brain with this, and I had a really good point, and I'm sure we'll circle back to it, but I'm going to stop rambling for all of you listening. So I think we've said enough for now, and we'll go on to the next question, and I'm going to let my mom brain circle back in.
Sounds good. Whenever you think of that, you just let us know. Guys, if someone is listening, okay, I mean, we've kind of already started talking about this a little bit, making sure they know exactly what you're expecting of them, making sure you have things in writing. But if someone is thinking, I can't hire associates or a team because nobody can like fill in the blank like I can, what would you tell them?
I understand. So at first, what came into my mind was going to be like, you're lying to yourself. But we're going to get in more gently.
Be empathetic.
I understand.
Because we lied to ourselves.
Yeah, because we lied to ourselves. So that was the story that we told ourselves. We were scared to death because nobody can photograph the way that I do. Nobody can love and serve the bride the way that I do on a wedding day. No one can edit the way. No one can do anything in their business the way that I can. That's a lie. Literally, I think that one of the best compliments that we've been given, one of our brides, we were in an engagement session here in Florida, and she was like, so how does all of your work look the same even though you guys don't do it? Like every wedding looks the same. And that's such a compliment because guess what? I didn't photograph all the key markers and moments that we know. It's like, hey, these are moments that we're going to capture throughout a wedding day, and we have a system for it. Our team did. And so, yeah, because there's a system in place, all of our brides are receiving just a beautiful client experience, a beautiful image gallery. And so I think that was such a compliment to me that it's like, hey, it all looks the same. So to get back, I think that number one is you can do this. If two former teachers, one of which was driving a school bus, both of us spending our nights on the football field with a dance and coaching, cleaning a church at night to pay our bills. If we can do this, I promise you can do this. It's just believing in the people that you're bringing in, believing in yourself enough that you can get a system in place to hand off to them.
Well, and one thing that through this, because I was the queen of, oh, well, no one's going to do it the way that I do it, is we've all learned somewhere. Yeah. We did not know how to, like I said, in the beginning, operate a camera. We didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know how to 100% make a wedding timeline. All of this we learned. So we've taken it upon ourselves to teach our team members how we do it. And know that like we're providing them the trainings necessary for them to go out and do it in the way that we do it. And I think it's really important with this, like Ryan said, to know your systems and also know your why behind your systems, because we work from a mindset of growth. So like we're all still trying to continually grow in our skill in every part of life. So the growth in the actual photography side of things will continually happen. Experience helps that, like going to experience more wedding days, experience, like Ryan said earlier, things hitting the fan and you realize how you need to react to it. But when we explain our why behind, this is why Ryan says this to the bridesmaids when he walks in the room, because we're cultivating this experience, then it helps them to do things the way that we would do it. So again, we've rambled once more on this, but I feel like what we're trying to 100% communicate to you is you are telling yourself that. We told ourselves that. And honestly, it's a lie.
Oh, yes. Well, mic drop there. That's all people need to know. Suck it up. It's a lie. Figure it out. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think though, and Ryan and Anna, I'm so excited to hear about your guys' Business Accelerator program, because like we've already talked about this a little bit. So many people think that like, okay, like if I just hire a team, like all my problems will be solved. Like I think it's safe to say that for most entrepreneurs, it's like you start out on your own and you grind and you grind and you grind. And like the next season is like, okay, fine. Like I'll hire a VA or a couple people, but then like, shoot, I'm still grinding and grinding and grinding because I don't have systems in place. And they don't really know what they're doing. And then like, you just like hope and pray that eventually it all works itself out and you can work less. But hope is not a strategy. So if you guys don't mind, tell us a little bit about your Business Accelerator program. And then also, because I know that people are going to be super pumped to hear about it, is it just for photographers? Because I feel like non-photographers are also like, can I get in there?
Yeah, no, I love that. Do you want me to take it or do you want it?
You good.
Okay. So I think that we were so pumped because when we started growing our team again, this was never like a business plan that we made. It was like, in 5 years, this is what it's going to look like. The only business plan that we made that had anything in, we were like, maybe when we bought our first camera, maybe Anna could stop teaching in 5 years. Maybe. That was like where we were hoping to be. We obviously were not dreaming nearly big enough because life has changed drastically
in 5 years.
Yeah. Over 200 weddings from a team in. But here we are. And so I think that we were so excited to help people bypass some of what we went through. Because just like Anna mentioned earlier, when we started our team, there was so much that we didn't know. And so the way that we did some things in the very beginning, we don't do them that way anymore because we learned that it's really inefficient and ineffective at cultivating a team environment and also respecting that like work relationship and also personal relationship. And so there was just so much that we've learned. And so we were so excited to kick off what we call the Team Building Accelerator and really walk entrepreneurs and business owners through like, hey, I know that what you may be looking at is like, you see dollar signs everywhere and you see like, oh yeah, big team, it's going to be great. And it is, and it can be that for you. However, we're all going to talk about the like really unsexy thing at the very beginning before we ever know if you're a good fit for this program. Its basis lies in systems. Because just like you said, Victoria, you've got to be able to have a system that you can give to someone and tell them why you do this. Not just what you do, but why you do it. And if that doesn't exist, quite frankly, you can have a team of 100 and my team of 13 will crush your team every single day. Quite frankly,
and your team will probably be crushing you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, honestly, I would probably, and I may regret saying this, I don't think I'm going to, I think that a solopreneur can probably crush a team of 100 when the team of 100 has no guidance, has no plan in place of what they should be doing. Because quite frankly, then those 100 people, they're going to quit. Mm-hmm. When there's not direction, when they don't have an expectation, when they don't have a path that they're moving towards.
Well, and are you going to be booking clients? Because is there going to be a consistent and a great client experience? So are you going to have a business that these 100 people can be working for? So yeah, I think that's a great point. Yeah. I don't think you're going to regret saying that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I am either. But with the Team Building Accelerator, that's what we really learned is that people were like, oh yeah, I'm ready to grow a team. And what we were so excited is to come alongside them and say, hey, this is a part of the puzzle piece that I didn't know when I started, but here, I'm going to give it to you and you get to just keep putting these pieces of the puzzle together. And we really accelerated their growth into having, number one, systems and creating the experience for their business, and then talk about how to bring in team members. And I think that it really looking at it from a holistic standpoint, it's not just a pathway of like, I want more salespeople or I want more photographers. What does your business actually need? Because if all you have is salespeople or if all you have is photographers, there's an opportunity for the client experience to crash and to fall because you're selling so much or you're booking so many weddings. Well, who's talking to them? Are they getting communicated with? Are their questions getting answered? Do you have all these systems in place? And so it was awesome. We saw so much success. We saw every single photographer that was in the room add on team members. And I think that honestly, it would be so easy for me to sit here and be like, yeah. And we saw every single photographer add associates to their team and start booking more weddings. That is a success and that's amazing. But what we also saw is freedom of life come in. We saw a photographer go from, I must be doing this. This is where my worth is. This is where this is my only source of income, to now she's being a little bit more of a wife. She has a little bit more free time that she just gets for her. And focusing on that, because I think that that's such an aspect of the Team Building Accelerator that we've loved is, yes, it's rooted in growing a team, but its basis is finding freedom in life.
Oh, I love everything about that. And yes, it's so cool to see how you guys are using your experience to, really bridge the gap for other photographers so they don't have to spend that crazy amount of time trying to figure out how to make this team thing work, how to make their business work. And I mean, on this podcast, we don't believe work-life balance truly exists just because every season of life is a little bit different. But I do think that that's like really as close as it possibly gets.
100%. And that's why we actually had this conversation just the other day, talking about like, I don't know what balance necessarily is. I think that for that to be achieved, it's like I think of is this a teeter-totter? Or what do you, the thing that at the playground, a seesaw, a seesaw. So, but for it to be in perfect balance, that's like a second in time. And then the next thing that it's out of balance again. But what I think that we can do is live in a rhythm. And so it's like we can kind of control the rhythm. We can control the pitch. So it's not so high, so down, so high, so down. But maybe it's just a little bit like this. And so 100%, I think that living in a rhythm, whether is much better than being like, absolutely, I'm looking for the balance to where my work and my life, it just coexists. I agree. I don't think that work-life balance is necessarily the best thing. And honestly, I think it leads people to believe this like fantasy world that doesn't necessarily exist. But I think that you can live in a beautiful rhythm when you put systems in place, when you have an experience that allows people to take some things off of your plate. You do get a little bit of freedom back, and then you live in more of a rhythm than these harsh peaks, these really low valleys.
Man, well, when people started listening to this episode, if systems were not on their list of priorities, I sure hope that it is now. So Ryan, Anna, you shared about your coaching program a little bit, but you have all kinds of resources available for photographers. So please tell us, where can people find you, connect with you, and check out all your other resources?
Yes. And I know that this whole episode was really kind of focused on talking about our team. And Ryan just kind of mentioned about like our Team Building Accelerator, which is something that, again, we love. And we're so thankful that we're able to be a refuge in that area for people for something that we just didn't know. And now like we're happy to pass along that information. But with that, with doing the Team Building Accelerator, and then also just looking at our journey, what we realized, because before I go into the resources that we have, I want you to I'm going to treat y'all like our team and like give you just like a little bit of why behind it, why we're so passionate about these resources and these courses and all the things that we are providing, is because of our own experience and our own journey. Because there was a time in our life when we were kind of teeter-tottering, trying to find balance in like, hey, we're doing this team thing. Hey, we're running this thriving business. But it was crushing us. We did not know all these things. And so now we're on the other side of that. And so it's just like, kind of like my journey with motherhood. It's like, I just want to shout it out to the rooftops of like, hey, this is how you can get there too. Not like we knew all the answers to begin with. It's like we've figured these things out. So with doing the Team Building Accelerator, one thing that we really realized, and then also looking back at our journey, was business. Like we also needed to help people with the business side of things. That, just like you said, if you at this point you're probably like, I am tired of the word systems, but hopefully you hear it and you're like, oh, I kind of have like I know where I need to put some priority. Like this is where I can make some change in my life. And so we are now so excited to be offering a business accelerator that really walks people through the business side of things. So that way, if in the future the team is a thought of yours, you're set up for success. Because for us, we had a season of our life where we had team members that we were paying. And honestly, we were still, we weren't living the life that we're currently living, that we were wanting to live. And we want to help people kind of bypass that season of like not knowing what you're doing with a team, not knowing what you're doing in your business. So that is what our resources are really focused around building your experience in your business. And then it can in return give you the life of freedom that you're hoping to find. And so you can find us at refugephotography.org/education. On there, you'll have options to see all of the resources that we have for you, as well as our shop. In there, you can find things like our timeline template and calculator, something I'm super proud of. That is, I mean, it's super cool. Honestly, I'm probably showing my past life Anna coming out of like, I used to be a math major, a little bit of a nerd, but something like the timeline calculator is a perfect thing of what we're talking about, systems and efficiency. So it is something that I have created that you simply type in the ceremony time and it auto-populates your timeline for you for brides, which enhances your client experience. You have a timeline for brides that enhances the actual experience on the wedding day because, again, timelines are great for that. But it also enhances your work-life experience in that you're able to provide this resource for brides, but you're not sitting at your computer for hours on end working on something like this for every bride. That's just one of the many things that you can find in our shop. Email templates. Ryan is our king of communication. You want to tell them a little bit about the email templates?
Yeah, I think that, I was on a stage talking about this. And I think that I think in our industry for some reason, and I think that in some others, but like when you use the word template, people are like, oh, so you don't create everything every single time.
Mm-hmm.
The way that I look at that is I created these emails at my absolute best. And I believe that our brides deserve someone who's at their absolute best. What I know is I will not be my absolute best every single day. Now that we have a daughter, apparently it takes like 3 hours longer to get out the door than what it used to take me. I'm rushing. Maybe I have a bad day. Maybe I get in a car accident. If I need to work, I'm not going to be my best. So we created emails at our absolute best that I believe love that what they do is they love, they serve, and they celebrate the woman on the other end of the screen. As a wedding photographer, we talk to brides. That's who we talk to. And so creating emails that lead into that, I think that we leave people feeling loved and served, and they're excited. And I think that when women, and I should say brides, when these brides feel loved, really seen, well, then they feel special and not like another number on a board. Right, that we actually see them. Refuge sees the woman on the other side of the screen, and so I'm excited to help people through that type of communication.
And one very important resource that you may be like, Anna and Ryan, y'all keep talking about systems and workflows, and that's great, but like, where do I even begin if I don't have this in place? Is we have our whole workflow in our Trello system. If you don't know what Trello is, I 10 recommend. You can find you can definitely find a lot of information on our Instagram account on how Trello can be beneficial to your business. If you sign up for our email list, we're just always talking about this one right here because it really changed the game for us. And we have our whole Trello template, meaning provided for you in our shop, meaning that you can get our whole workflow system as a template and start making your system today. And something that took us 2 years to build could literally take you at most maybe 2 hours. And that's simply because you just got to take the template and implement your own business into it. So 2 years versus 2 hours.
I'll take 2 hours.
I mean, even before I was a mom, but now that I'm a mom, give me the 2 hours. But we're not just here telling you what you should do. We're also providing you a resource with how you can make that happen for you today.
Oh, guys, thank you so much for coming back on the show. Thank you for talking to us about team building and systems and, as always, sharing your other bits of just business wisdom. I feel like you guys are full of them. We will include links to everything you mentioned in the show notes, and just we can't wait to see I can't wait to see what is next for you guys, as a family of 3 and just how your business is changing. But, you're still there to serve. And that is just such a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, Victoria, so great to see you, to be back. We're pumped about it. So again, thank you so much for having us.